So I will be demonstrating several new features, including the new 90.1 Section 11 and Appendix G Compliance Form Companion Tool, the Summary Compliance Report, and the new Mandatory Requirements Checklist. So I want to give a refresher on the compliance form first, so we can get in the right mindset here. So what you're looking at here is the compliance form, and it's used to document compliance following ASHRAE 90.1, Section 11, and Appendix G. And it has built-in calculators that convert project information into simulation inputs for the baseline or budget and proposed models. And so if we look at the documentation process overview, this is done by taking the information about the project in the design documents and entering it into the compliance form onto tabs like envelope, lighting, HVAC, service, water heating, plug process and other loads, and renewable energy, if that's applicable. And then some other information, general information, contact information, energy sources and operating schedules, and exceptional calculations, if that is applicable. And then the compliance form generates modeling inputs that then go into the building energy modeling tool. And there's some back and forth, but essentially the results of those simulations are put into the results from BEM tool tab in the compliance form to calculate the compliance calculations and some other quality control features. And like Maria said, so the compliance form sticks strictly to the rule in 90.1, such as using cost as the performance metric. And so that is one of the reasons for the existence of the companion tool, which is what I will demonstrate for you now. And so what I'm showing you here, this is the AHJ blank version of the companion tool. So this was shared with you. And it's designed to be used with that compliance form. And it performs calculations for several things. So some examples are determining performance and alternative metrics, such as site energy, source energy, or greenhouse gas emissions. It can determine savings by fuel and end use. It can show demand savings, and it will soon have fuel neutral savings as well. And so it's designed to provide flexibility for AHJs and RAs to only show the calculations and customizations that are important to them. And okay, so a bit about the process of using the companion tool. The AHJ or RA would download the companion tool, and it would look like this, and they would set up their programs however they want, with whatever customizations they want, which you'll see in the demo. And then once the HCA has set up the programs, they would set this workbook to submitter view, and that's what they would share with teams that are submitting projects to those programs that they set up. And then the submitter would have already filled out the compliance form, and they would import data from the compliance form into the companion tool for those calculations to populate. And so I will go through a demonstration now of what it would be like if you were the AHJ setting up the companion tool for a program. And then I will show you what it's like on the submitter side, importing that information to see those calculations populate. And so I will go to the program setup tab. So these orange tabs are the ones that me, with my AHJ hat on now, am going to interact with. And so first I will enter in the programs. So I'm going to do test program 1. And right now the companion tool is set up to take up to 5 programs. It can also be scaled up to 30 is what we have prepared it for. But in this example, I'll just show you 1. And right now it can, or in the beta version, it can take up to 5. And so for test program 1, I am going to say that I want to see performance in terms of site energy. And then I can select other performance calculations that I want to see. So in this example, I'm going to say energy consumption and savings by fuel, and savings by fuel and end use. And I will also select demand savings. And so based on what I've entered here for the program, when the submitter is filling out this form, they'll select the program, And then based on that information, different tabs and different calculations will unhide and perform for what has been imported. And so the last thing that I want to do on this tab to show you an example is in this customization options, I'm going to say that I want to customize the building performance factors. And you see when I clicked that, this tab unhid, BPF customizations, and the same thing with demand savings customization when I put an X here for one of my programs. And so that is it. That's the high level information about test program 1 that I want to customize and what I want to see later down the line when the submitter's filling this out. And so now I will go to the building performance customization tab, and by default, it is set to use whatever comes in with the compliance form. So when the submitter imports that information, the building performance factors from the compliance form would come in. But I want to show you what it would be like if I manually entered in these building performance factors. So when I click that, these tables unhide, and you can see that this first table's costs, the second table's site energy, the third is source energy, and the fourth is greenhouse gas emissions. And since I said that the performance metric that I want to see for this program is site energy, this table is not hashed out, so I can enter information here. And so I've already prepared some building performance factors. So what I've done is I've taken the 2016 site energy building performance factors, I've reduced them by 10% for an increased stringency with lower building performance factors. And so I will copy those and paste it right in. And we'll see later down the line that our sample project is in climate zone 4A, and it has some retail and some multifamily. So the building performance factor for retail that I've entered for 4A is 0.47, and for multifamily is 0.68. So that's just a foreshadowing. And then that's it. So I've specified my building performance factors, and I can move on. And so the next tab is demand savings customization, since I said that I would like to see demand savings for one of my programs. And I can specify if I want to see electric demand savings or fuel demand savings. In this case, I'll just do electric, and I will say that I want it by end use and whole building, and to require hourly electric demand to be entered by the submitter. And so from there, I will specify the date and time ranges that I want to see those electric demand savings. I can specify up to 5 different date and time ranges. And so I will first say that I want it for the month of January. My start hour, I will put as 1 and end hours 24. And there's some help text here, so that just means that it's for all hours of those days in that range. And then I can also say the day type that I want. So weekdays, weekends, all days except holidays, or all days. So I can really narrow down exactly what demand savings I want to see and what I care about. I'm just going to select all days. And that's it. So we'll just select one date and time range for this example. And then instructions for submitter. So we've provided some general instructions for a submitter filling out the companion tool. But as the AHJ, I can specify any extra instructions that I need to for the submitter. So it's designed so that all of the information that the submitter would need is right in this tool, and I have the flexibility to do so. So, and I'll show you briefly that there's a way that I can add extra tabs as the AHJ. And so if I added an extra tab that had other custom calculations just for my purposes, then I could say, or fill out that tab. So I can provide those other instructions here. And we're basically done in AHJ view. So I go back to the instructions for AHJs and RAs tab. Here's where I could add my extra tabs. And I just need to set a password. and I'll switch to submitter view. So when I switch to submitter view, all of these AHJ customizations will hide so that the submitter can't mess with the things that I've specified, those building performance factor customizations or the demand savings customizations. And so I know that they are how I intended when the submitter submits those projects. And so I will switch to submitter view. And so you see that those tabs hide. I can also switch back to AHJ/RA customization view by entering that password. And so I can go back in later if I change my mind, if I want to change, if I want to see more demand savings ranges, anything like that. So I will switch back to submitter view. And so this is, if I was the AHJ, I've set up my programs. This is now the form that I would share with teams that are submitting projects. And so now I will put on my submitter hat. So now I am a submitter that I've filled out the compliance form, and now I just need to populate this tool. And so the first step is to import that information from the compliance form. And so let me navigate to it. And just like that, that information has been imported. And you'll see when I go to the project performance tab and I select test program 1, that's what we set up in AHJ view, information about my project comes in here. So I see that I have a multifamily portion and a retail portion. And I can also see that those building performance factors that we set in AHJ view are populating here. There's some other general information, conversion factors, renewable energy, and exceptional calculations caps. But I see in this compliance calculations table that my performance is being calculated for site energy because that's what we specified in AHJ view, and it's using those building performance factors that we specified as well. A couple other things. So when we set up the program, we said that we wanted to see performance by end use and by fuel. And so that's why this tab's unhiding. And so all of this information about the end uses and the energy consumption comes in with that import, and it shows these tables for the HJ, since that is what we specified. And then finally, let's go to demand savings, because that was another thing that was specified for test program 1. And on this tab, the first instruction is to populate the hourly input tab. And so I would go to the hourly input tab, and this is where I would enter the baseline and proposed electric hourly values. So I got those here. And this is also essential because we said that when we were in AHJ view, we said that we needed the submitter to enter hourly data. And so all hours for the year come in there. And then on the demand savings tab, has hourly electric data been entered on the hourly input tab? Yep. And is all end use demand captured in the table? And I know that it is, so I will click yes. And then you see that for the month of January, for all hours and all days, I have the demand by end use, and also on a whole building level. And I also see those electric demand savings. And so after that, everything has populated based on what was requested in HJ view. And so you see in this tool that in HJ view, there's a lot of flexibility to show the calculations that you want for programs and hide others that you don't. So you can really pick and choose what you want to see. And then as a submitter, it was pretty easy since most of that work has been done in filling out the compliance form. And so we just use that data exchange to import that information into the companion tool.